Hello, Bucs fans. This is Derek Fournier with WhatTheBuc.net, and we're going to do a brief preview for the Seattle Seahawks this weekend, a game that has tremendous import for the Buccaneers. May or may not have any importance whatsoever for the Seahawks, but after being asked about that question, Coach Carroll bristled, I believe is the proper term, and said that his team's going to play hard regardless of what's going on with their situation in the NFC West, where a team that has a sub-500 record may actually make it in the playoffs. But for the Buccaneers, due in no small part to our collapse last week versus the Detroit Lions, this game is another playoff game for us. We've got to win just to even have a snowball's chance in hell of sniffing the playoffs with a play-in opportunity against New Orleans Saints. And facing the Seattle Seahawks has never been easy for us. The Seahawks lead the series 7-3. We both came in the league at the same time. It's certainly some ties that are obvious between the Seahawks and the Buccaneers. I actually lived in Seattle for 6 years, and I was actually disgusted going back and watching the Atlanta Falcons game with a 6-8 Seahawks team, and the Seattle area, generally speaking, the Pacific Northwest, not great sports fans when I lived there. They're very similar in some ways, and I know this will bristle some of you folks as well, to the Tampa Bay area. They tend to follow the flock, and with the Seahawks not doing particularly well, I was surprised to see how loud the 12th man was, but they are supporting their team, and this is a team that doesn't provide any sort of surprises for us. Matt Hasselbeck is exactly what we all know he is. He is intermittently an excellent passer, but most of the time substandard, prone to make mistakes at the worst possible times, like he did last week against the Atlanta Falcons, where his team had played pretty doggone even against the Falcons, and then he came out after they gave up a quick score at the end of the half on a 9 route down the sideline that there's no way they should have given up. They had a middle blitz, good blitz. Safety was way out of position, gave them an easy touchdown going into half. Hasselbeck comes up, rolls out right, makes it just a rookie mistake, fumbles the ball in the end zone. All of a sudden, you're down 14. Then he follows it up with a couple of interceptions. And that is what I always think about Matt Hasselbeck for some reason. I'm sure he's better than that based on the numbers, but I've never been a big fan of his. But when you look at this offense, there aren't any surprises, right? You've got Marshawn Lynch and Forsett back there that can run the ball. Both of them are talented runners. They're certainly not top-tier backs, I don't think, even though Lynch was drafted high. They can move the ball on the ground. And against a Buccaneers defense that is struggling to stop anyone moving the ball on the ground, this is going to be the key matchup. And when you watch the way Lynch runs, he is an aggressive and solid runner. You're going to have to do what we said every single week of the year. And that's why this gets a little bit frustrating, especially towards the end of the year when we're not making improvements along those lines. And I know that some of those steps back have been because we're so deep in that defensive stack, and we're deep on the offensive line too due to injuries. But you've got to meet the ball carrier in the hole, hold him up, and let the other guys rally to the ball. That gang tackling that this Buccaneers defense has been known for the better part of 12 years, I would say, just is not there right now, and it's got to come back, because if not, we're going to be in for a world of hurt. Now, in the passing game beyond Hasselbeck, and you always got the risk of him getting yanked and Whitehurst coming in, but you've got Mike Williams, not our Mike Williams, a Mike Williams that the Bucs were high on coming out of college, who went and ballooned up to tight end sizes, now back down to a decent playing weight and playing good football for his college coach, Pete Carroll. He does present an interesting matchup for our corners, which are going to be undersized versus him. He is not a particularly quick receiver, though he is a very good possession receiver and will pose a threat against our cornerbacks. I believe a lot of people are saying we should stick with E.J. Biggers on him, man up. I don't know that the Bucs will do that. They don't like to shift personnel unless it's a keep to leave in there. But I do think they're going to have to pay particular attention to Mike Williams. There was an interesting stat I saw somewhere that Matt Hasselbeck with Mike Williams in the lineup has an over 80 QB rating, and without him has an under 60, which does not bode well for him if Mike Williams goes out. But he is in this week. He is active, and he should be on the field, and we're going to pay attention to him. That is going to be an interesting matchup for our safeties as well, because Matt Hasselbeck against the Falcons likes to look long, regardless of what receiver he's going to. He likes to stretch the ball down the field. He doesn't like taking the checkdowns, even though that's what that offense seems to be predicated on, hitting the backs out of the backfield, hitting the receivers on the underneath routes. So we're going to have to make sure that our safeties are in good position. Corey Lynch is going to have a bounce-back game, not only in run support, but in deep protection, because he had a very bad game last week. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, much has been said about the Buccaneers offense. They're putting up a lot of stats. Josh Freeman continues to improve week on week. LeGarrette Blount continues to impress. Mike Williams, Aurelius Ben coming up. Both of them looking strong. I can't believe we're not putting up 50 points a game based on what's going on, but we're not. And whatever the reason is, we've got to try and find something that resembles an identity. And right now, we don't really have that. It seems that we have an identity for 3 quarters, then we turn into a different team in the 4th quarter. Josh excels, our running game disappears, and that's not the way you get into the playoffs. So this week, it's going to be the same formula. It's that 20 to 25 and 140 mark we're going for. That running game has been stout. We're going to have to use it for all 4 quarters of the game, or 5 quarters, by God, if we have to go to 5 quarters. And LeGarrette Blount's got to be your bell cow. No offense to Cadillac Williams. He does great things when he's in there. Blunt has improved his game. Ernest Graham, again, the forgotten man at that up back position, can certainly be a threat. We've got to find a way, Coach Olson's got to find a way to leverage those tools he's got on offense and get them all involved in the game planning. Now, against the Seattle Seahawks defense, this is a defense that is known for their linebackers. Lofa Tutupu is the one that everyone knows the name of, but this is a strong core across the line. But Chris Clemens from the defensive line position has got 10 sacks and is running all over the field. Now, this is a guy who will flip sides. He will also line up in a 9 technique way outside. Both of their ends like to line out way outside. This is something that I hope the Bucs have looked at on film. We may have Jeremy Trueblood in at the right side for James Lee with his ankle injury. He is not good against edge rush, and that's exactly what the Seahawks like to bring. They'll edge rush and then twist in the middle with a linebacker coming up the middle to try and steady the middle of the pocket. Josh is going to have to be aware of that. He likes to leak and roll outside. He will not be able to do that against this defense, and that film work is going to have to pay off. He's going to have to step underneath that rush to buy himself time or to release and run down the field, depending on what he wants to do. So keys to the game are obvious. They get completely redundant at this point in the season. We've got to run the ball. We've got to stop them from running the ball, and we've got to protect Josh Freeman. It's not a mystery. The Buccaneers set up well against this team, assuming we have enough healthy people. I know there's some rethinking going on, according to TBO.com, about Mike Bennett versus Mr. Oakham in the middle. The defense better find something. Hopefully Raheem Morris has been on the drawing board, and we've got a game plan lined up for Marshawn Lynch and the Seattle Seahawks, because they're not going to lay down, and we certainly can't afford another loss. So I do think the Bucs can take this, assuming we do those things. But again, I thought we would do those things against the Detroit Lions, so what the hell do I know? Let me know what you think about the video. I'm going to pick a win. I'm going to pick the Bucs going away 27-14 in this game and setting up a great game for the New Year's weekend, where I will be in New Orleans, hopefully to see what people think can't happen. This is a side note on this video. I've seen a lot of comments about people saying, hey, we all know there's no way that this Bucs team can go to New Orleans and beat a Saints team that can run the ball and anyone can pass the ball and anyone. It can't happen. And I'm always amazed by people saying that something can't happen in the NFL when every week we're shown that anything can happen. And, as far as people saying we're better off not making the playoffs, I thought that the pessimist article on Joe Bucks Fan this week was actually very, very good. You've got to get behind your team. You've got to try and get out there and win the game. And hopefully some people will show up this week and support the team. I know we'll be out there tailgating. So thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you think about it.